Hey everybody, welcome back to Cool Stuff Etc. It is an overcast, slightly rainy day today here in Michigan. It's October the 19th, and I realized that it has been a while since I've done an what have I been up to video. I call them, to myself, I call them Hoobie-to or Hoobie-2. I know there's no one that's watching, but that's fine. I still call them that. So I have a list here. It's written, it's not blank, I promise. I don't want to show you the list. But I have a list here to go through, and I'm going to try to be quick because I need to catch up on movies for Spooky Season Movie Marathon, which is still happening. But speaking of movies, let's start with movies. Let's start with this one, Flatliners. This was a movie that I watched for the first time. I had bought it at a thrift store or an antique store or whatever. I call it a thrift store. It's pretty cheap, and it's a movie I've been wanting to see for a while. I like the premise. This movie was pretty bad. There's some redeeming stuff with maybe some of the direction, some of the lighting here and there, but it was like, for the concept, how dark you could take that, it was like the like corniest and like kind of, I don't want to say family friendly because it really wasn't family friendly, but something about it is like very saccharine, I guess is the word. Like, I don't know, it's not what I expected. It's like a very generic movie aside from the cool kind of premise. It's not really worth keeping, I in my opinion. Joel Schumacher is a filmmaker that I'm not super familiar with. I don't know if I've seen any of his other movies. But I'm not going to keep this one. I'm selling this. Not very good. Sorry if you like that movie. Speaking of another movie that is somewhat sci-fi, Scanners. This is the Criterion version with the dope-ass cover. This is my first time watching Scanners. As I've mentioned several times, I'm going through the Cronenberg filmography, slowly but surely. The first one I had seen of Cronenberg's, Videodrome, I was really floored by. I thought it was great. And then I saw Crimes of the Future, and I thought that was great. And then I saw Crash, and that was even better. So I just was like really primed to like Cronenberg. But I don't know, this and The Fly are like kind of just above like middle of the road to me. They're doing low budget filmmaking. It's on it's not a huge like company, producing these things, I don't think. And it's, so it's like the same sins of a lot of other low budget horror films are kind of present here. The practical effects are of course really cool. But there's like the main actor guy, the protagonist, the good guy, not Michael Ironside, who's pretty good. The protagonist is like one of the most wooden actors I've ever seen in a movie of like this caliber, that's like this well regarded. Like that dude had like no emotion, nothing. Like he was giving nothing at all. And the story was just kind of convoluted, which is to be expected. I don't know, just wasn't floored by it as I have been by his other movies, which is fine. Don't have to like them all. This one will stick around. And then the other movie that I saw that I may have touched on briefly, I saw in theaters Barbarian, which was, I thought, phenomenal. It really rode the line between comedy and horror quite well. It was definitely one of those movies where the comedy and the horror are, for the most part, like separate entities, but there were some moments that were like funny and also like horror tinged. But it's just, it's one of those movies that I think is going to be talked about a lot for a while. Kind of go down as like maybe a modern cult classic of some sort. I don't know, cult maybe is too much to put on it this early into its release, but I really feel strongly about it. I think it's a great movie. Quite scary, really well directed and well acted. Practical effects look great. Not much to complain about at all. And then on the TV side of things, I I've been working through, as you may know, I've been working through Adventure Time, and I finally have watched seasons 8, 9, and 10, thereby finishing the entire series for the first time. And I got emotional. I've been watching the show for a long time, and it had a very, very sweet ending. I think the last season was the weakest so far of all like the story stuff. But I mean, thematically, it had a lot of good stuff going on with Princess Bubblegum's kind of like authoritarian nature. They've kind of been hinting at it. So it was like good character development for her, and you know, Finn has all that stuff going on with, and Jake too. The Jake stuff that's so weird to me that they're like just now bringing back the blue alien weirdo thingy that was happening, which like when we watching this series, it first happened in like season 4 or 5, and then they don't talk about it again for like another 3 or 4 seasons. And I was like, that kind of popped up out of nowhere. I didn't even remember that. And then of course the Ice King and Betty stuff is like probably the most emotional storyline for me, at least. And I mean, they wrapped it up in a nice way, but I don't know, I feel like it was a little, I don't know, just like a little bit too harsh to have it end the way that it did. You know, there were some happy aspects, but also a little bit sad, which I guess, you know, is kind of what they're going for, but I don't know. It is a kid's show. But yeah, it's great. I'm very excited now to watch Distant Lands, as well as apparently a new series that's being produced that's related to Adventure Time. I'm not very sure on the details, but yeah. Next up, music. This is non-metal music we'll be going through first. I don't have most of these on CD, but I'll talk about them briefly. The first one is Liane La Havas. I hope I'm saying that right. Her album Blood. This is like a neo-soul kind of, I guess you would say R&B, or like, I don't know. She's like she's a really, really good jazz guitarist from what I understand. And great singer, of course. The songwriting is very, very good. I think the back half is actually stronger than the first half, if I'm being totally honest, even though I feel like the first half does, to me, even still feel a little stacked with the songwriting prowess on display. But this is a great neo-soul album. I think that just about anybody would enjoy it. You know, it's got happy moments, and it's got kind of darker, more subtle, understated moments as well. It's a great release, and I should listen to more of her work as well. This is the only album I've heard from her. Another album that I had listened to the first time. No, sorry. This is an album that I had listened to for the first time this past few weeks. The band is called Spanish Love Songs, and the album is Brave Faces Everyone. This is like kind of anthemic punk rock, more on the pop punk side of things. I would say maybe emo if you want to give it a specific title. And yeah, I don't know, it really connected with me. I usually, I don't know, there's like a certain vibe that I get from this kind of band that I just don't always cling to. But for some reason, this release I was really feeling it. I don't know. The songs are just really well written. The hooks are great. And the production's really good. The guitars sound great. And as I said, they're ringing out and very anthemic, and it's just a kind of a general attitude that I vibe with. The one thing I wanted to mention is that the lead singer, to me, sounds like the lead singer to The Hotelier, plus the lead singer to Andrew Jackson Jihad, like had like a love child. I don't know. If anyone else notices that, let me know. Next, yes. This is the next one on my list is I Could Do Whatever I Wanted If I Wanted by Snowing. This is one of my favorite albums of all time, and it's been a while since I've listened to it, and it's still a fucking banger. It's still so good. It's math rock inflected emo, and damn, they just get it right. I feel so bad that this band only lasted for a short time, because damn, they get it. I did have a copy of this on CD, however, it was a bootleg. That my friend Rose made for me for my birthday, so thanks, Rose. And she didn't know she was making bootlegs, so don't arrest her. But I couldn't find it. I was looking for it on my shelf, and I couldn't find it. I think it might be in my car, actually. Or maybe it's in my fiance's car. I'm not sure. but I want to find it now. I didn't realize it was in here. But God, yeah, this is a great album. I think everybody should listen to it, even if this isn't really your thing. It's just very. There's some songs that are very fast paced and hectic, and a lot of shouty vocals and that kind of thing that comes with the territory. But there's like a lot of conceptual through lines with the whole album, with death and losing loved ones and that sort of thing, and just also general like ennui, feeling sad and despairing and that sort of thing. But yeah, this is an album that I could put on like any mood I'm in. I would just like it would totally string me along the whole time. So yeah, highly recommend. As I said, it's one of my probably top 3 albums of all time. Speaking of a great album in the emo subgenre, this is Remo Drive with their debut album, Greatest Hits. Phenomenal release. I found this through Antoine Fantoine, so shout out him. And this is kind of funny because this is like not the kind of music he normally reviews or like talks about or anything. But yeah, he gave it a decently positive score, and so I as someone who at the time really valued his opinion, I listened to it and I enjoyed it quite a lot, and then Katie also likes it, so that's a plus as well. So yeah, it's again like similarly emo inflected kind of indie rock. I would say the guitar production to me is what kind of stands out, as well as the vocals and the lyrics. But the guitar production is like kind of buzzy and very thick, which you don't really often hear from this kind of music. So it's pretty unique in that way. And then of course the vocals. He has a very high voice. It's not like nasally though. He has kind of this like very nice inflection to it when he sings, and I just like how it sounds. And of course he gets a little screamy sometimes, which is cool with me. But then of course the songwriting is just great, very catchy, very not unique. What's the word? I mean unique probably, but also just like they throw in some fun stuff that you don't always see, like some weird time signatures or like unorthodox parts, and it's very engaging. You know the whole album is like you can listen to it from front to back, and each song does not sound the same, which is more than I could say than a lot of other bands in the genre. So yeah, that's Remo Drive. Next up, again, I guess I was on a roll this week with this like emo inflected like indie punk rock. This is the band Sincere Engineer with Bless My Psyche. This band, I listened to them on a whim after hearing them on my Spotify radio, and yeah, they're really great. The vocals are what really drew me in. I think I don't remember her name, but her vocals are awesome. They're very raw, kind of like very, I would say raspy or like throaty, but like so much emotion behind them to me. The songwriting, this is another band where I'm like, I kind of like Spanish love songs where I'm like, the songs sound so happy and like melodramatic maybe, and like, I don't know, it's something I don't usually vibe with, but for some reason this band, I really enjoy this album. I've listened to it several times, and I find new things to enjoy each time. I need to get it on physical. I'm probably going to buy that pretty soon, so we'll do that. All right, this is the last music before we get into the metal and whatnot. This is Idles Brutalism. I've already shown this, so I won't talk much about it, but I re-listened to it again this week because I've just been on a kick, Idles kick, and damn, it's even better than I thought. Each song on here is like a very cool mixture of noise rock and post-punk. The vocals by Joe Talbot, I believe, are like, he has a way of being both like chaotic and gruff and like very intense, but also restrained. He knows how to hold back, which is like hard to do. I think if you've ever done like screamed rough vocals like this, it's very cathartic to like release all that tension. And so the fact that he doesn't do that a lot of the time is like very impressive. But yeah, not a stinker in the bunch. All those songs are great. I again highly recommend. All right, let's get into the metal. The first metal release that I listened to in the past couple weeks is a band Chatpile. This is their album God's Country. I don't know if it's their first release or second, or if it's not an EP. They're kind of like a noise rock, sludge metal hybrid, very nihilistic, very dark. Definitely not for everybody. I'm still kind of processing how I feel about it. So maybe I'll come back to it. But I was definitely intrigued by what I heard. But as I said, it's like a very weird release. Mostly like heavy grinding, just like brutal crushing guitar and drums and bass, and the vocals are strange, unorthodox, lots of yelling. But yeah, it's something I want to revisit down the line and see how I feel about it again. Speaking of vocals that are crazy, this is Converge with Jane Doe. This is, of course, a classic. Don't need to say much about it other than it's killer. I think the most interesting thing about this release is that the lyrics that are included are more of poetry, more akin to poetry that the songwriter has, or the lyricist has written, and don't actually reflect what he says when he's screaming, you know, in the songs. So to this day, as far as I know, they have not published like a genuine lyrics sheet for this release, which is interesting to me. It's unusual for sure. But yes, Converge, if you're not aware, are a metalcore band with a lot of very mathy persuasions, as you may know. And this album is their magnum opus to many. There's, of course, several other releases in their discography that people consider to be great. But this is like the one that gets talked about the most. It's very iconic with this album art. I'm sure you might have seen it elsewhere. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I came back to it, and it's probably my favorite release of theirs that I've heard thus far. I haven't listened to their whole discography by any means. It's been, you know, they've been around for quite a long time. But yeah, this is a great album. Very chaotic, very hellish with the vocals, but there's a lot of melody. There's a lot of a considered songwriting beats. It's not just like balls to the wall riffs and stuff that a lot of other baby bands of this genre that you know, they kind of do that kind of thing. So yeah, highly recommend. All right, next up, Worm with Foreverglade. This is, I would consider, an amalgamation of death metal, doom metal, and black metal. It's from Florida, as you might expect from the title. Foreverglade, of course, the Everglades is what it's referencing. There's some dude in corpse paint with the candelabra, as you do. Yeah, wow, this is great. I kind of am at a loss of what to say about it. Ooh, look at that. But yeah, wow, there's so many. It's like very progressive for what it is, you know. There's a lot of really interesting moments, and whoever's playing the guitar on this release, they can shred. There's so many shreddy moments which you just like don't expect from a release of this genre. And yeah, wow, it's great. $20 Spin is the label, and they have always put out good stuff. I don't listen to everything they put out, but Tomb Mold, of course, Superstition, what else? Witch Vomit, of course, great bands. So, you know, a label to look out for. They're releasing something new coming soon, and I'm anticipating it. I probably should pre-order it if I really want it, so we'll see. Next up, System of a Down with Toxicity. This is, of course, a pretty mainstream release, but don't discredit it if you're kind of one of those elitist metalhead douchebags. This is some good shit. You know, it's not, I know people consider it new metal, and, you know, to some extent it is new metal, but it's not new metal in the same way as Korn or Limp Bizkit or like those kinds of bands. It's new metal in the sense that it's metal that is new. It's a different way of doing it. But yeah, damn, this album is killer front to back. That's why it's a classic for a reason. You know, the fact that a band like this got on the radio and did as well as they did is insane. Totally insane. Dudes this talented on the radio in metal or rock are like, it's few and far between. It sucks that the drummer is a Trump supporter douchebag guy, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, like, just look at the song list if you can read that. It's like every song on here is a banger, excluding Bounce. I fucking hate that song. It's so annoying. But everything else is great. And of course, there's the classics. You got Chop Suey, you got Toxicity. You also have some of my favorite songs: Prison Song, Forest. I like Shimmy, and Aerials too is another radio song. But yeah, great album. I haven't listened to any of their later stuff. I probably should listen to their like Hypnotize, Mesmerize, Steal This Album, etc. I've only listened to their first 2 releases, but yeah, great band. Next up, Unsilent Death by Nails. This is, I believe, people consider it to be grindcore, power violence, whatever hardcore bullshit tag you want to put on it. It's fine. Yeah, I just listened to this actually today on the way home from work, and yeah, still pummeling, still brutal. I love that they really stick to like the 1 to 2 minute song length, even under like 30 seconds for some of these songs, and it's a collaboration with the guitarist, I think, from Converge as the producer, and Kurt Ballou is his name, or Ballou or Ballo, I don't know how to say it, but he gets some very, very what's the word? Brutal, I guess. I always say brutal. Metalheads always fucking say brutal. But it's like, it's just so thick and distorted and like ugly, and it's great. The songwriting is like, I would say it's 80% of the time it's blasting in your face, like really fast shit. CD fell out. And then like a good 20% of the time they just do like the fuck everyone, kill everything kind of like mosh riff. But they use it well. It's not like other hardcore bands where it's like 80% stupid, dumb, knuckle-dragging, slow mosh riff, and then 20% like actually interesting, like fast riffs. So it's pretty cool. And then the last thing I'll talk about in regards to metal is these two. I got this in the mail today. This is Drawn and Quartered, To Kill Is Human. This is their debut. Haven't listened to it yet, but I have listened to this, which is Feeding Hell's Furnace from the same band. I think I've talked about this previously, but this is some really cool old school death metal revival stuff. Yeah, they know how to write. They know how to write a track, I'll tell you that much. Very, very interesting riffs. It keeps you engaged. It's not just like kind of that same like tremolo riffing that you hear from a lot of other modern death metal bands, which isn't bad. No, I like that kind of stuff too, but I also like a bit more intrigue, if you want to call it that. So yeah, I'm looking at this, but I'm not showing you, which is stupid of me. So let me show you. This is the lyric sheet. That's how it looks. Yeah, great band. I want to listen to them more. Yeah, get in there. All right, we've gone through the music. All right, after that, ungodly stuff. Oh no, we haven't gone. Sorry, I'll go quickly. Dungeon Synth. Okay, so first I listened to Defender, which is a new project to me. It's their, I think it's an EP, maybe. It's just called 2, so Defender 2. This is like, it sounds like Lone Sentinel, but different and really good. And it's like Dungeon Synth right on my alley, so I'm going to listen to that a lot more. The other releases I listened to, this project is called Dragon Spell, and it's their release Mountain Rehearsal, October 11th, 2022. The interesting thing about this release is that it's all live recorded. So they included all of the mistakes. This is what they said on the Bandcamp page. They included all the mistakes and stuff. And you know, for the most part, it's kind of typical Dungeon Synth, but it's very interesting because they have like a lot of the songs have like black metal blast beats in the background, which is unusual, and it kind of adds a different texture and a different shade of flavor. And I enjoy it. I didn't listen to it a couple more times before I have like a definite opinion on it, but you know, pretty good. And then lastly, the project's name is in Chinese, but it does translate from my understanding to Dream Squid. And then the name of the project is in Chinese, but does translate, to my understanding, to Shanghai/Hong Kong. This isn't really Dungeon Synth, but it's more of an ambient release, maybe dark ambient. And they use kind of like sound collage aspects. So they've recorded audio of like streets, like city streets in China, and I assume in Shanghai or Hong Kong, and they kind of incorporate those into these like really dreamy, synthy pieces, and it's a really good result. I want to listen to this a lot more because I am very, very intrigued. Okay, finally we're gonna move on to board games. There's only 3 of these, so I'll go quick. This first one is called Dale of Merchants. This is kind of a deck builder-esque slash set collection card game, 2 to 4 players. It plays pretty quickly. Essentially, you play the role of animals, who all have different like focuses for their decks, and you can buy different cards from different animals, and they, like as I said, they all do different stuff. So there's like these ocelots, and there's chameleons, and there's parrots, or sorry, macaws, and squirrels, and raccoons, and pandas. And they all do different things. They all like the raccoons focus on stealing cards. The squirrels focus on like tricking the game essentially. And the goal of the game is to get stacks of cards of different values. So stack 1 will have a value of 1, stack 2 a value 2, and so on until 8 has a value of 8. And that's how you win the game. And yeah, you're just buying stuff in the market and kind of trying to screw your opponents and find a good strategy. And the really interesting thing is that you can like switch out which decks you're going to use. So sometimes you use the pandas, but sometimes you won't, and sometimes you'll use the ocelots, and sometimes you won't. So yeah, we've only played it once. And only with 2 players. I really want to play with more because then it adds a lot more variety to the game. But I'm very, very intrigued by this game. I think it's great, and there's 2 sequels that I am also eyeing if I enjoy that one a lot. So, all right, following that, Dungeons, Dice, and Danger. I've only played this solo. It is a roll and write, and as you might expect, the game functions in the way that you roll a dice and then write what you do. So here's the dice. Here's the dice. Nice chunky wooden dice. And here's the sheets that you use. So it looks complicated, but it's actually very simple. Essentially, the dice numbers that you roll allow you to cross off certain rooms, and you're trying to explore the dungeon and fight these monsters. And in the solo game, you're kind of racing against time as your health dwindles. But in a competitive game, you're racing to be the first person to I think to kill all the monsters or whatever it might be. This is the game that I played. As you can see, I did okay. My final score was 48. I think that's not like the best score, but it could be a lot worse. I almost killed the main boss, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I had a great time. I really had a great time. It's definitely something that I can see myself playing solo, which is great because I need more solo games. But it's also a game that I want to play with other people, so it kind of serves a dual purpose. So I'm really really excited to break it out again. One thing I need to do is to laminate these sheets and get some dry erase markers so that, you know, paper's finite. I only have 50 sheets of each of the 4 dungeons in the game, so I really need to laminate them so that they can last longer. All right, and then the last game, this is a big one, Lost Ruins of Arnak. This is a very popular game. Obviously, it was nominated, as you can see here, for the Kennerspiel des Jahres. I don't know, it's pretty German. This is like a really cool worker placement / deck builder, kind of akin to Dune Imperium, which I talked about before. But it's definitely lighter weight, more of a family-oriented game. I wouldn't introduce this to like my mom or something, but it is considered a family game on BGG, so whatever. I'll get out some of the components. Essentially, you're explorers exploring this since abandoned, deserted island. Damn it. And you're trying to just gain points. It's one of those games where you just like, victory points, you get them. But what you're doing is very cool. You're exploring new sites, you're finding treasures, and you're using those treasures to create combos and stuff, and using your little workers to do that kind of things, and also all the nice little components. This game is only about $50 retail, and it comes with so much great stuff. Really cool components. As you can see here, there's little red gushers for the rubies and little tablets, all like plastic pieces, and little arrowheads. Yeah, this is great. I can see why everyone loves this game. I played it solo first, and it was really fun actually. I thought I was doing terribly, and then I actually ended up beating the computer, or the AI I should say, by a little bit, which is great, and it was on the easiest difficulty. I think that on my second game that I played with real people, I played with Katie and Rose, my friend Rose, I did a lot better. I had 90 points as opposed to in the first game, 56 points. So I feel like I could do better on a solo game now against the computer, and maybe I will, but not right now because I have other things to do. Spooky Season Movie Marathon has been taking up like 90% of my time outside of work, so yeah. But that's it. That's everything I did in the past couple weeks. Yeah, I don't know. So hope you enjoyed. Hopefully you stuck through it. Sorry it was so damn long. Honestly, I hope that you're turning me on like 1.5 times speed, if not 2 times speed. I know I talk kind of fast, but I don't want you to waste your time. So throw me on 1.5 times speed if you don't already. So, all right, adios, everybody. I will see you in the next video in the next couple of days, and wish me luck because my ass is getting beat by this spooky season stuff. So, all right, talk to you soon. Goodbye.